Welcome to this very first Lens Dev stream. I'm Elodie, I'm Lens Community Manager, and I'm here to host this event today with Mario, who is an engineering manager with us, and Lee Namba, who is our product manager.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
So why a Lens Dev stream? This is the very first one. What's happening is that we really want to get closer to our community, and it seemed to us like the easiest way to do this. We are going to tell you what we're working on, answer your questions, and just chat and be friendly. So you can see that we are a friendly team. Use Lens. So let's start with a quick introduction. What's Lens? Go for it.
Yeah, I'll take that. So in case for some of you who don't know what Lens is, as you know, Kubernetes, a lot of companies use Kubernetes and organizations, and Kubernetes can be quite complicated. The command line and the Kubernetes API can it can get very, very difficult, especially once you start to manage larger deployments within Kubernetes. So what Lens is very simply an IDE for Kubernetes. It provides a graphical interface that talks directly with your Kubernetes cluster. We don't add on anything on top of it. So whatever access and role-based access or security you have on your cluster, we won't go around that. We'll respect that. And Lens provides a very nice graphical user interface to your Kubernetes cluster. And it is used by all sorts of different roles. We see developers use it. We see operators, DevOps, even managers, testers, who all need to have some type of interaction with the Kubernetes cluster. And within the different organizations that we see even students using it to learn Kubernetes, all the way up to very large, secure, banks, even governmental agencies, military, who are highly secure, who are working in highly secure environments. They're using Lens as well in production to manage and view, observe, monitor, and especially do troubleshooting on their clusters. So we've polled some of our users out there. They've found that it's definitely saves them a lot of time. One figure that we did a poll with about 20,000 of our users and came back, and it says that Lens saves them approximately about 1.5 hours a day. That comes out to about a day a week. And also in terms of how fast they've learned Kubernetes, they've all said that it definitely improved and sped up their ability to learn Kubernetes drastically. So if you're not familiar with Lens, please go out there to our website, k8lens.dev, and you can download Lens directly. It's very easy to install, doesn't require administrator privileges, and you can point it directly at your cluster and immediately start to look at your cluster. So that's a very quick, brief intro to Lens.
Thank you, Lee. So now maybe to keep going, who are you guys and what are you doing within the team Lens?
So my name is Mario, and I'm the engineering manager for everything related to Lens. I'm taking care for 3 different teams that are working on Lens. The core team that is working on the base of our product, basically the Electron core and everything that is around that, the architectural structure of the product, the features team that is implementing everything that is related to the cluster view. So whenever a user is looking at one of his clusters, he will get a list of all his deployments and other workloads that he has access to. And this features team is working on those stuff. And we have then our so-called cloud team, and that cloud team is taking care for everything related to Lens ID, the way you're authenticating yourself against Lens, and our website and our store, and so on and so forth.
Okay. And Lee, do you want to say something about what you are doing within Team Lens?
I'm the product manager, and so what I do is I work very closely with Mario, and what basically we do is first and foremost is talk to our customers or our users and gather feedback and put those into requirements that feeds directly back into the product itself. So thank you all to the Lens community, because we receive a lot of feedback from you guys just saying, hey, it would be great to do, if you guys had this feature or that feature, or we found this bug on this configuration. So first and foremost, thank you guys for all of your fantastic feedback. We try and get that prioritized and rolled right back into the product. So that's one aspect of what I do in my role. And then the other aspects are, figuring out all of the things that go around, the actual software itself. So this could be, things from packaging, presentation and pricing, and all the way down to, all of the communications that go out all around the product, including, our documentation, our forums, even social media. So we consider all of this as part of the, your experience and part of the product. And, we have to look out for, all of that as a product manager.
So you two have big roles within the Team Lens. You're very much responsible for everything that's going on around here. How are you deciding what we are working on next? And maybe you can actually give a sneak peek of what we're working on, or just tell us about what we've just released recently.
Lee's just rolling the dice,
We can talk about an upcoming release that should be released very shortly. So we're talking within days. So part of this feedback, we go to different conferences throughout the year, and so we have the opportunity to talk with lots of people, while we're at the conference and at the booth. And one of the majority of the time, one of the things that people say is, we love Lens, it's awesome, saves a lot of time. Can you guys, the columns within the tables, can we make them resizable? Because sometimes the names of our different resources in Kubernetes are long, and so we have to click on it or hover over it to see the full name. And another thing is, depending on what type of role you have, you might want to prioritize different columns, and some other columns you don't necessarily care about. So you want to maybe, move them or change them. So this is something that has been a request from literally years now. And finally, we're going to be rolling out a first part of this improvement to the tables. So that'll be coming out very shortly. In the next couple of days. So you'll be able to do some resizable columns. I know it sounds trivial, but it took a little bit more work, because we're going to be introducing a lot more improvements to these tables in the near future. And then the second other thing that a lot of people
maybe real quick to chime in here. Sorry for interrupting you. So
yeah.
Why is tables so complex? So mainly the problem here is that we have a lot of users that have quite big clusters, and performance is super relevant for them, as you can imagine. And we're talking here about clusters that have, for example, 20,000, 30,000 workloads or other Kubernetes resources that the tables have to visualize. And this is why it wasn't actually that trivial as it sounds to just resize the table. And then if you imagine that all the data within the table has to be live in a way, and whenever the Kube API, we receive some update for some data within the table, then we have to update the view as well, right? and therefore tackling this topic of the new tables wasn't just like adding a real quick resizable column and a new table component, but it was as well involving a lot of testing, as you can imagine, with bigger clusters and working on performance improvements. There is literally no table out there that is just doing this out of the box for an Electron application like Lenses. Sorry for interrupting you.
Oh, please, Mario. Love the technical details and the why. People think, as you mentioned, it sounds really easy, but it's a lot more difficult. And the other thing to remember is, Mario mentioned testing, and Lens works on both on Macintosh, Windows, and Linux. So those are different clients that we support, and we have to test all of those on very large cluster sets, as Mario mentioned. So sometimes small changes can take a while. Another thing that a lot of people use Lens for, especially during the development and testing process, is for troubleshooting. And what a lot of people do is, they have a fantastic, new deployment that they're working on. They push it even through their CI/CD process, and then they go, and then for some reason something's not working. One of the first things that Lens is used for is to go and to get access to those logs, either pod logs or even the container logs. And one of the things that has been asked from us as well is, well, this is great, I have a pod and I can see those logs, but what if now I have a deployment and that deployment spans several pods, or even a pod has several containers in it, and instead of having to jump back and forth every single time to see all of the different logs from the different pods, wouldn't it be great if we could aggregate all of those into a single stream?
Even worse.
Troubleshooting a lot easier. So Mario, any details that you can give on that?
Absolutely. I mean, it could be even worse, right? You could even have a deployment with multiple pods and multiple containers around those pods, and you would like to see all the logs just coming from basically this application that you're looking at. And just another quite obvious change that we had in the pipeline for a long time already. And we are finally there now. So thanks for being patient with us, and stay tuned. There's going to be more in regards of improving the logs, and I think nothing really special here to mention from a technical background.
There's no so Mario, no particular challenges with this aggregation?
We've been thinking about there's different tools out there that you could leverage for aggregating those logs, but after evaluating those, we felt like that the way that we are doing it at the moment is basically our own particular implementation, that this is the way to go and this is the way that we want to continue at the moment. Let's see where this will bring us to in the future.
Fantastic. So look for that to be released shortly, and as Mario mentioned before, this is just the beginning. We'll follow up with this. There's some additional work being going on for a future release, which would be a lot bigger, on improved tables and as well logs for a future release. So this is just setting sort of the foundation for that, because we wanted to get it out to you guys as soon as possible, but some additional changes and improvements will be coming later.
So what I'm hearing from all of this is that the requests and the opinion of the community are very much listened to from the team. I mean, like, when someone is requesting something, it's really considered by the team.
Every on a weekly basis, it usually happens on Mondays, we have what is called a grooming session. And what those grooming sessions do is go through a list of items that the community has provided. Basically, these could be feature requests, these could even be bug fixes. And go down the list, and we go, with the team, go through that list and see which ones should be prioritized. Obviously, if there are any security problems, those take, probably the highest priority, and get assigned as what we call a priority 0. So it's even beyond priority 1. And those get fixed. And our history and our record has been, if there are any major, complete showstoppers or serious security breaches, we haven't really had any, but those get fixed usually within, hours. So we take the community's feedback very, very seriously.
So I have a comment in the chat about this. It's Kelvin saying, I've been tracking some GitHub issues that say they will be resolved in the next release, but also noticed that activity has dropped precipitously in the last 2 months. Is Lens still using GitHub?
So the reason for our decreased activity there is that in Finland, it's so that in the summer months, people are usually having quite long amount of time of PTO. So everyone is out there for vacation, enjoying the sun and summer months, and now everyone is coming back, and usually during the first weeks of August, and that's a habit that we have. Biggest parts of the team are located in Finland, and that's how things are there.
Okay, that's actually a very nice opening to my next question. Someone told me that Team Lens is not all based at the same place. Please tell me more about it.
Well, we are spread across the globe, I would almost say. So we have people located in Canada, and here Lee is from Paris. We have a lot of us being in the Helsinki area. I'm from Germany actually, and we have some colleagues here as well in my area. So you can see that Team Lens is really quite spread across many countries, and we are a all remote team working years hand in hand, using a lot of Slack communication, asynchronous communication to deal with these time zone struggles that we have. But I think that as we're doing this since day one almost, we are quite used to it nowadays already, and it works pretty well.
And we also do get together every, maybe quarter or 6 months. The team gets together in a location, and so that's really great. We get to sit in rooms together and actually hash things out, and then obviously afterwards enjoy some nice meals and some festivities. And we'll get together as teams. And then as well, we do participate in some conferences. So a portion of the team does get to see each other during these conferences, which is always nice.
So I actually joined Team Lens not that long ago. I've been with you guys for half a year now, a bit more than half a year. And I have to say that the remoteness actually wasn't an issue at all. I mean, it's still not an issue, of course, but it's never been an issue. Like, everyone has always been super warm and very easy to contact and to talk to. So, yeah.
Well, that's great to hear.
Yeah, and it's as well great to have you, Elodie.
Yeah.
now the public messaging and the communication with our community improved a lot, and thanks for setting up the dev stream as well, by the way.
Wow, thank you. I hope it will work until the end of it. So, Lee, you were talking about events, international events that the team is attending. Can you tell us more about it? Where can people meet the team? Which is the next event where we'll be at?
So we have at Lens, we're part of a larger group, a company called Mirantis. But we are an independent, let's call it, team as part of Mirantis. However, we're part of the Mirantis family, and Mirantis goes to all sorts of different events around the globe. But the one that our team specializes in, or the events that we go to, is we always have a presence at KubeCon, whether that's KubeCon North America or KubeCon Europe. We always have a presence there. And another conference that we enjoy going to as well is the AWS reInvent conference. So the next one coming up will be KubeCon in North America, and that'll be followed up shortly by the AWS reInvent conference in late November, early December. So if you guys happen to be planning on going to any of those conferences, we'll be there, and it would be great to meet you.
Yes, it's always nice to meet the community there. By the way, there's a recap video of us being at KubeCon Amsterdam. That was very fun, chatting with our users. Yeah, it was the first time that I was meeting the community for real. And I have to say that everyone is very passionate about Lens. It's not only a tool, like people are really passionate about this. How do you guys feel about this? Like,
it's always great to be at the conferences and see that people like the tool, and being in touch with them for sure. This is super motivating, and it's really great for us. So yeah, I mean, we love that you love the tool, basically.
When I've been to many conferences now, and you can see people from kind of far away, they see the Lens logo and you just see them start walking towards the booth, and you just know already that they're just going to come up and then they just say, oh my God, we love Lens. It's a great tool. We use it all the time. And then, then they're curious and then start asking some questions. And then inevitably, sometimes they even pull out their laptop and go, how come when I click here, it does this or it does that? Or wouldn't it be great if we could do this or that? And we love that kind of feedback and that kind of interaction with and to see actually how people are really using the product. So that happens all the time when we go to conferences, and we really love it.
Yeah, I've seen you, Lee, during the KubeCon Europe, and you were like very into it. Like you got like really happy chatting with people, and I don't have a technical background myself, and it was like really interesting. I just wanted to be in the conversation, even if I didn't understand everything about it.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm sure as many of viewers probably sitting behind a screen all day long, it's nice to actually see that the work that you're doing, how it affects people, and the work that you do, people appreciate. So from the entire Lens team, everybody loves hearing about that. They all want to know, how are the conferences, if they weren't able to attend. And so what we try and do is convey to them how much enthusiasm there is for the product to the rest of the team.
Talking about the team, that's another very easy transition for me. How big is Team Lens? So we know now that we are like spread all over the world, but how big is Team Lens?
So as I already told in the beginning, we are spread across, the engineers are spread across 3 different teams, and those development teams are roughly around 20 engineers or something like that. 18 to 20 engineers, and so we have a couple of our team members being in Canada, and I think the biggest portion is probably 12 people in the Helsinki area or something like that.
So we do have, as part of it being in a larger organization, Morantis, we do have, there's marketing teams, there's product marketing, there's documentation team. We have our own analytics team, which does some absolutely fantastic analysis on how our users use Lens, and that really helps us as well to improve the product a lot. As well as we have our fantastic community manager, Elodie, as part of our team. So these are all parts of the team as well, spread out around the globe, some actually in California. I forgot to mention as well, we do have a sales organization as well. So there are, as we mentioned, we have customers, all different sizes across all different industries, who purchase Lens, and they talk directly with our sales team. So our sales team, as part of larger Mirantis organization, is spread around the globe, and another thing I forgot to mention is our support team. So we do have as well a support team. Most of them, they're as well based around the globe, because we do 24/5 professional support. So they're spread around the globe. If customers have any problems, then we respond to them, no matter where they are, what time zone they're in. And so that support team is also live. There is a chat function built directly within Lens. So if it's bottom right hand corner, if you have any problem you're experiencing with Lens, you can just open up that chat window, and if it's on during a work day, weekdays, even 24 hours, you can just start chatting with an agent and they will help you resolve your problem.
We've been talking with a lot of customers that were not really even aware of all the beautiful pro features that we have nowadays. Would you mind giving us a quick overview?
So besides the basic features of Lens, which is the ability to look at your cluster and navigate through your cluster, get logs, get command lines very easily, some of the advanced features that we've built in are, one big one is, we've heard from customers and users that especially when you're learning Kubernetes, getting access to a Kubernetes cluster can sometimes be difficult. So you have to talk to an admin, or you have to talk to somebody, and they have to provision something, and then they send you some type of credentials or a kube config, and it might be a little complicated to get actually going with Kubernetes. And so we listened to that feedback, and we said, well, if we could include actually a very tiny Kubernetes cluster built into Lens that just works out of the box, that could be really useful to our users. So we've done that. You can, once again, open up Lens, go to the bottom right hand corner. There's something called Lens Desktop Kubernetes, or LDK as we call it, that you can just go hit the start button, and you have a single node, very lightweight Kubernetes cluster up and running in seconds. And that will allow you to, if you're new to Kubernetes, start learning it and just playing around with Kubernetes and do all of your hello world type of exercises. Or another thing that people like to do with it is use it as a sandbox environment. So if you want to just test out some type of new deployments or new Helm charts you're not sure about, you can just spin that up even before doing any type of committing it to any shared cluster, downstream, or putting it into any type of CI/CD process. It's just a really nice way for you to be completely isolated in your own small little cluster locally to do that type of testing. So that's one of our advanced features that come with our Pro version.
It might be interesting to know for our users that we are for sure trying to dog food all of our products, usually, pretty much. So we learned in the past that it's quite helpful using our own products, obviously, as much as possible, because it will help us to detect any eventual issues faster. And therefore, for sure, we as well started to make it a best practice to run our backend services and our website and our Lens ID front ends in our own local desktop Kubernetes clusters, right? So we are using tools like Scaffold and DevSpace to spin up our development environments, and then develop on our microservices. They are written in Golang, in Node.js, and in React TypeScript, and do this locally actually before pushing anything to the repository, before before actually deploying anything into our staging environment or into the production environment, right?
One of the things that I noticed in the Lens Desktop Kubernetes is you can actually have different profiles. Does the team use or create different profiles for the Lens Desktop?
Yeah, I think it's quite handy if you're working on different projects, right? So, for example, if you're working on the website and on let's say the store or at some other service that is eventually running in a different Kubernetes cluster, then you can create those different profiles, and those are basically completely separated virtual machines. It's based on QEMU, which is a virtualization platform for Mac, and on Windows machines we are using WSL2 for the virtualization, and they are completely separated from each other. You can configure the resources that you want to dedicate to those VMs, so the memory and the CPU and the disk space that you want to dedicate to those, and you can then pretty much separate your projects from each other and run them in different clusters. And when you're switching projects, it comes quite handy that you're just switching those profiles of LDK.
Cool. I know for myself, I do a lot of product demos, and in the past, before we had this LDK, I'd always have to make sure I have a good internet connection so that I can connect up to some type of cluster, or that I'm running another Kubernetes like a Minikube running locally, but then I'd forget to spin it up or not, and it consumed too many resources. But ever since we got LDK, I know it's always just there. I can always just show that to a potential customer if I'm trying to talk to a user and I want to show them a new feature. It's just running all the time right there, super easy, super fast, doesn't consume that many resources. So it's definitely made my work a lot easier.
Definitely, and as well, worth mentioning that it comes with the container development tools, which is quite handy if you want to build your container images in LDK, right? So just check out the preferences page. You can enable them from there.
Yeah. So what Mario was just referring to there is we've actually do have a container engine as well built within that virtual machine. And what that will allow you to do is you can actually write Docker files, build those Docker files into container images, even run those containers directly within Lens, troubleshoot those, see if there's anything wrong with just the container itself. And then once that's done, then you can put that into a Kubernetes deployment, run that as well directly within the Kubernetes or Lens Desktop Kubernetes, even do some scaling out there as a deployment to test that all of that works and all of your configurations works. And you can do that all within Lens and troubleshoot and debug it incredibly fast. So basically you're reducing your tool set down to just one simple tool that gives you basically most of the things that you need to do Kubernetes development.
And you no longer have to worry about keeping all those tools up to date. Basically, we are just keeping this up to date for you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it just makes things a lot simpler. I know all I do is I go to the automatic. If we're traveling or have to not in a place where there's an internet connection with a customer or something, all I know is make sure I've got my Lens updated and everything will just work. And when you're giving demos and presentations in front of customers, as some of you might do, or in front of management, just knowing that thing is all going to work and you haven't forgotten to update some component somewhere and you haven't tested it in a couple weeks and it doesn't work anymore and you're panicking, that's always not a nice feeling. So it makes my job a lot easier.
So we are nearing the end of this live stream. So to go on a more lighter note, after the whole technical talk, do you have like a fun fact that you would share with the community? Like I heard a story about a hoodie that was lost. Like That's just an example, something like this.
Now that you're already, bringing it up, I can share it. So last year reInvent, I had to wear a suit because I lost this beautiful hoodie. I was moving to my new house, and I just, desperately was searching for it for 4 days, and I wasn't able to find it. So everyone almost was laughing about me. So maybe you're the only engineering manager here wearing a suit at the reInvent conference. But well, it is what it is, I said, right?
Yeah, because that's not, from my short experience, it's not like everyone wearing suits to this kind of events, like not to say no one, I guess.
Well, it kind of depends, right? Whatever you're doing, but yeah, I tend to agree, yeah.
And what about
as you can see, I was lucky after all, and I found the hoodie 3 months later or so after unpacking all the boxes, so.
Yeah, it was at the bottom of the last box.
Yeah, it was a happy end after all.
And what about you, Lee? Do you have like a fun fact to share?
Yeah, my fun fact is I don't lose my hoodies. So
Ooh. That's like live dissing.
That's all right. I can cope with it. That's fine.
You're putting the bar really high for the next Lens Dev streams now. It will have to escalate each time. Oh my god.
Yeah, Elodie. So yeah, speaking of these dev streams, what do you have planned for our next dev stream?
Well, I'm planning to like organize it around something like secret that will come, because sneak peeks, but we're still having some secrets, so you still have to stay tuned, of course. And I really want to keep them like quite informal and still have fun like doing them with the team. So
all right. Is it secret even from us? Like we won't even know what's going to happen?
No, you do not.
Is there chocolate involved or anything?
You don't know. It's complicated to keep secrets with such a nice team. Yeah. So we're arriving at the end. Do you want to add something? Like if you have to say something to the community?
We would just appreciate any future attendance, as we said, always appreciating your feedback. And if there's any questions that you would like to get answered, then you're very warmly welcome to jump on a session. Yeah, you can as well reach out to us on our forums, but maybe Elodie, you're the best to talk about that.
Well, yeah. That was my line for after, but I can do it now. I was going to tell you that you can keep in touch with us like at any time on our forums. All the links will be in the description of the video, so it will be like super easy to click. There's the forums, we have social media, we do have this YouTube channel that will see more action in the times to come. And yeah, also, if you really want to keep in touch and you're passionate about Lens and you're one of these people who are just recommending Lens to everyone that you know who is using Kubernetes or not, you can always reach out to me through social media and take part in our ambassador program that is called Lens Champions. So who doesn't want to be a champion, right? Lee, do you want to say something to the community?
Yeah, just I'll echo what Mario said, is thank you guys for all of your feedback. It makes a world of a difference for us. It makes it count basically for us. So thank you so much just for all your feedback. And if there's anything we can do to make your guys' lives easier, please just let us know. That I used to be an engineer working with tons of all of this stuff, and I understand when you have good tools, it just makes your life so much better. So now that I'm more on the other side, creating some of those tools or helping to create some of those tools, really appreciate your feedback.
Is your experience as an ex-user helping you to develop Lens?
Yeah, because especially on the let's just say more on the enterprise side. So I used to, do consulting work for very large companies in very secure, public sector, banks, private sector. So I understand all of the constraints that a lot of end users are going through. A lot of times there's security constraints, or you don't have access to certain things. Things are really locked down. And so I totally understand, and I'm always trying to push that within the team, is to, it's great to have all sorts of, fantastic new features, but we also just need some features that just work all the time, super stable, super secure. That's a lot of, what my day-to-day life was like when I was working for all of those large companies. So that's something that I'm very passionate about, because I understand the pain, and something that I try to bring to the team.
This is really cool. That sounds like a very lame conclusion to this, but I can't express enough, being one of the last ones arrived, how passionate the team is, like really. And it's really nice to work with all these guys every day. So all of this to conclude and say, don't forget our forums, sign up, it's really nice. We are all answering you when you have a question. Don't forget the social media, because we're also answering there, and it's always nice to have feedback, positive or not positive, because that's how you're progressing, right? Mm-hmm. And thank you, Mario. Thank you, Lee, for being here today, taking the time, and being such good sports about it.
Thanks for hosting this, Elodie, and thanks everyone for joining us today.
Thank you very much. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.